Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB. You're listening to the Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, and today is the 6th of February 2023. Now, over the weekend, the prices of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have marginally gone down, and the global cryptocurrency market at one point of time was on the verge of touching the $1.10 trillion mark. Unfortunately, has gone down, and the global cryptocurrency market as of today is $1.07 trillion. Now, look, guys, I've been saying this time and over again that I do feel that in the second quarter of this year, there is a very high possibility that the inflation numbers will kick in and the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will go down. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about Uniswap, which is apparently a decentralized protocol, but it looks like they are heavily being controlled by A16Z or Andreessen Horowitz, and this, to be honest, is definitely not good for the blockchain ecosystem. We talk about no central entity being able to control any of the situations, but looks like Andreessen Horowitz or A16Z is a whale that is trying to utilize its funds and its tokens in order to change the direction of Uniswap. And in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, we did talk about where Uniswap is making a decision to switch from Ethereum to Binance BNB, and Binance CEO CZ did actually tweet if Uniswap is controlled by A16Z. So we'll definitely go ahead and talk about that. And in today's episode, we're also going to be discussing Bitcoin mining update. Now look, guys, the last quarter of 2022 had devastating impact in the Bitcoin mining industry, but few companies did actually make a lot of Bitcoins in return. And in today's episode, we are very briefly going to talk about Marathon Digital, and they recorded 687 Bitcoin production in January, which is up by 45% in its previous month. And in today's episode, I'm very briefly going to discuss how the Bitcoin mining works, because there are two reports which has come out, and one report which talks about on the 30th of Jan, the Bitcoin mining difficulty did reach an all-time high, and there is another report which was published by Bitcoin.com that talks about how the Bitcoin mining difficulty is estimated to decrease in the next few days. So we'll definitely go ahead and talk about that. Now, we also have some news from South Korea, and looks like they are providing some guidance on security tokens. Now, we won't go into detail, we'll very briefly talk about it. And we also have some news regarding Metaverse, and we'll try to discuss if INTERPOL is trying to police the Metaverse. So a really interesting report is published on BBC News. Now, regarding UAE, we have two news, and one is a great news and the other one is definitely not a good news. Now, the good news is that Dubai is ranked the second most crypto-ready city in the world. Unfortunately, the second news is a negative news for UAE, and Kraken, which is one of the oldest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, which did get its license in Abu Dhabi, is deciding to shut down its Abu Dhabi office. So we'll definitely go ahead and talk about that. And look, guys, one thing which I've been saying quite often, lately UAE is turning out to be a red ocean, which in hindsight is a great thing for users, but from a startup and business point of view, it's definitely not ideal. So a lot to cover in today's episode. So let's kickstart today's episode. Welcome to the Crypto and Coffee Date, the daily podcast that keeps you up to date on all latest developments in the world of cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and NFTs. Join us Monday to Friday as you kick off your day with a cup of coffee and a deep dive into the exciting and rapidly evolving world of digital assets. We'll cover the latest news and trends in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space, as well as delve into the growing world of NFTs or non-fungible tokens and Metaverse. Plus, we'll keep you updated on the latest developments from Dubai, UAE, and the wider Middle East region. Whether you're a seasoned crypto enthusiast or just getting started, Crypto and Coffee Date has something for you. Our expert host will provide insight and analysis on the most important topics in the industry and help you stay up to date on the latest developments. We'll bring you interviews with leading figures in the crypto and blockchain space and explore the ways in which these technologies are changing the world around us, from the impact on traditional financial systems to the potential for revolutionizing industries and transforming societies. We'll cover it all on Crypto and Coffee Date. So tune in and join us for a daily dose of Crypto and Coffee Date, and let's stay ahead of the curve together. We'll start your day off right with the most important news and insights from the world of cryptocurrency, blockchain, and the Metaverse, and help you navigate this exciting and rapidly evolving landscape. In Crypto and Coffee Date, the daily podcast covers the latest developments in the world of cryptocurrency, blockchain, and the Metaverse. We'll also bring you updates on the latest news from Dubai, UAE and wider Middle East region. This also includes a range of topics such as developments in the local and blockchain industry, including new projects and initiatives, regulatory updates, and policies related to cryptocurrency and blockchain in the region, local and regional events and conferences focused on crypto and blockchain, interviews with leading figures in Dubai, UAE and Middle East crypto and blockchain community, coverage of any significant news or events related to cryptocurrency and blockchain in the region. By covering these local and regional developments, in addition to the wider world of cryptocurrency and blockchain, Crypto and Coffee at 8 aims to provide a comprehensive overview of the industry and its impact on the Dubai, UAE and Middle East region. Now before we kickstart today's episode, I have an important message, so check this out. Firstly guys, Startup OI is global one-tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called Rise in the Obstacle Course Race, and Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gov Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs, and these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform and search for Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast. And finally guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now, since you've taken care of that, let's look at the global cryptocurrency market. Now, as of today, 6th of February, the global crypto market is at $1.07 trillion. Now, it could be possible because of the weekend. The prices of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and general trading might have gone down. Now, since the last 24 hours, though, it is marginally up by 4.15%. The total crypto market volume over the last 24 hours is at $49.58 billion, and since the last 24 hours, it is up by 12.38%. The total volume in DeFi is currently at $4.72 billion. Now look guys, in order for cryptocurrency to go mainstream, in order for cryptocurrencies to compete with the fiat currencies, I very strongly feel that DeFi is the only way that could happen. Unfortunately, the DeFi volume is still low. Now that thing being said, since 2023, DeFi does account for a much higher percentage of the total crypto market volume. So in hindsight, this metric does look pretty alright. Now so far as the total value is concerned, as of today 6th of February, $48.45 billion is locked across all DeFi protocols, and Lido is still dominating the race with 17.34%, and $8.40 billion is locked in its protocol. Now one thing to remember guys, so far as Lido is concerned, its total value is taken out from the overall total value locked, and the same thing is for Convex Finance as well, because if we try to report the total value locked of Lido and Convex Finance, it'll count as double accounting. Now the second protocol with the highest total value locked is MakerDAO at $7.25 billion, followed by Curve Finance at $4.89 billion, Aave at number 4 at $4.61 billion, and finally Convex Finance at $4.12 billion. Now let's look at the volume of stablecoins. Now once again guys, the volume of stablecoins is ridiculously low at $44.29 billion. Now listen guys, when you talk about stablecoins, the number definitely does not seem to be making a lot of sense, particularly since the second half of 2022, the volume of stablecoins has drastically gone down. Now on an average day in 2020, 21 and 2022, the volume of stablecoins used to hover somewhere between $80 to $140 billion. So right now, the volume is ridiculously low, but apart from that, it still accounts for 89.32% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. Now out of the $44.29 billion, Tether USDT accounts for $32.44 billion, followed by Circle USDC at $3.05 billion and Binance USD at $8.78 billion. Now let's look at the market share, 24-hour trading volume, and dominance between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin's dominance is $444,000 billion, followed by Ethereum at $201 billion. I wouldn't be surprised if the market share of Ethereum does tend to pick up as and when the Shanghai upgrade date gets closer. So it's going to be really interesting to track the market share of Ethereum, particularly in the fourth week of February and the first few weeks of March. Now the 24-hour trading volume of Bitcoin is $23.3 billion and Ethereum is at $7.29 billion. Now if you look at the dominance of Bitcoin, the dominance of Bitcoin has marginally gone down to 41.50% and Ethereum is at 18.80%. Now today guys, on the 6th of February, I'm going to be looking at the market cap of smart contracting platform. I'm only going to be reading out the top 3 platforms. Ethereum is clearly number 1 and its market cap is at $201 billion. Finally, Binance BNB at $52.52 billion. And later on when we discuss about Uniswap, we're also going to be discussing if Uniswap version 3 will be switching to Binance BNB or is Andreessen Horowitz are going to utilize its token power to not make that happen. So to be honest, it's not a good thing for the cryptocurrency and blockchain ecosystem. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Andreessen Horowitz reacts to this news that the third protocol is Cardano and $13.63 billion is its market cap. Now let's discuss the privacy coin and let's look at the market cap and let's discuss the top 3 protocols. Monero is clearly an outlier and its market cap is $3.04 billion, followed by Zcash at $572 million and finally Harmony at $352 million. Now guys, let's look at the price of the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at $23,047. Now since the last 24 hours, it is marginally up by 0.63%, but since the last 7 days, it is marginally down by 0.38%. Ethereum is currently at $1,649. Since the last 24 hours, it is marginally up by 1.56%. Since the last 7 days, it's up by 4.28%. It's going to be really interesting to track the price of Ethereum as and when the Shanghai upgrade news kicks in towards the last week of February, guys. I definitely going to keep a track of the price of Ethereum and probably even the first and second week of March as well. Now what I really recommend you to do is follow Team Biko, who's the lead Ethereum developer. That will give you an idea of what direction the Shanghai upgrade is going on. Now let's look at the price of Binance coin. It is currently at $329. Since the last 24 hours, it is up by 0.86%. Since the last 7 days, it is up by 6.48%. And I'm really curious to check once the news of Uniswap version 3 switching from Ethereum to Binance BNB will have a change on the price of Binance BNB coin. I definitely do think that the prices would move in a positive direction, but Andreessen Horowitz is kind of acting like a notorious player. Now, one thing which I did mention in my Crypto and Coffee Day podcast is, a few weeks ago, the Uniswap protocol did actually have a poll and they asked the users to vote if they want to switch from Ethereum to Binance BNB, and over 80% of them did actually state that they want to switch from Binance BNB. and I did give an explanation on why the community deciding is a good thing, but looks like Andreessen Horowitz or A16Z, a whale or venture capital firm, has deployed all of its 15 million of its Uni tokens to vote against the current proposal to switch from Ethereum to Binance BNB. Now listen guys, this is definitely not ideal. It just means that there is a central entity who has the power to change the direction of a particular project and protocol, and CZ, who's the CEO of Binance, did actually mention via Twitter to his 8.1 million followers, is Uniswap controlled by A16Z. Now look guys, there are two ways of looking at it. If you follow the ethos of open blockchain and complete decentralized protocols, one way of looking at it is that Andreessen Horowitz, they do have the Uni tokens, so in a way, they do have the right to go and make changes to whatever decision or whatever direction they have power to. But if you look at it from another point of view, the community wants to go and switch from Ethereum to Binance BNB chain, but because of one central entity, we cannot do that. Now we often blame the government or the fiat currency for having centralization, but looks like Andreessen Horowitz is doing exactly the same thing. And one thing which I've often said, human greed, game theory, and the accumulation of tokens among selected individuals, giving them the power of voting rights, is a very difficult problem to solve. Now what we tend to do is we often blame the government or the central entity or even Facebook, but looks like Andreessen Horowitz is doing exactly the same thing. Now I'm not sure at this point of time what the outcome is. If they are going to be switching from Ethereum to Binance BNB chain, looks like there is a bridge involved in between, but nonetheless, if you were to get into the details, look at the price momentum. I do feel that once we have the final outcome, there will definitely be a price movement, either in Ethereum or in Binance BNB as well. Next guys, what I'd like to discuss is some update regarding Bitcoin mining. Now in the final quarter of 2022, there were many Bitcoin mining companies that did file for bankruptcy, but there were few chosen entities that did make a lot of profit, and Marathon Digital is one of them, and they recorded 687 Bitcoin production in January 2023, an up of 45% from 475 Bitcoin produced in December 2022. And last week, guys, in my Crypto Coffee Day podcast, I did talk about Marathon Digital Holdings is moving to Abu Dhabi, and they are having a partnership with FS Innovation, and looks like they are setting up the mining operations. And in the month of January, the average Bitcoin produced per day was 22.1, whereas in December it was 14.9 for Marathon Digital Holding, and Marathon Digital Holding still expects to have approximately 23 Etherhash of capacity installed near the middle of 2023, and it's very highly possible that they will be setting up the operations in Abu Dhabi. Now, so far as the Bitcoin mining industry is concerned, one thing you need to know is that every 2016th block, the Bitcoin mining difficulty gets adjusted. Now look guys, in the month of March, I'm having a Bitcoin beginner sessions where I'll go ahead and explain how the Bitcoin mining difficulty works. So essentially what happens is there are a bunch of miners which are spread across the world, and these miners go ahead and update the transactions onto the block. Now in order to do that, they have to solve a mathematical problem, and in order to solve mathematical problem, they tend to spend a lot of energy, and that's where this whole notion of ESG is taking place. So essentially what happens is, every 2016 block, the difficulty mining gets adjusted. If there are too many miners, the mining difficulty gets eased, and if there are less miners, the difficulty mining gets increased. So what Satoshi Nakamoto programmed is that if there are too many miners mining at the same time, and if it is difficult, after every 2016 block, the mining difficulty will be reduced. Whereas let's say if there are few miners, and if the mining is easier after 2006 block, the difficulty mining gets increased. Now in the session that I'm doing in March, I'll go ahead and explain all of this in detail. Now on the 30th of Jan, Decrypt actually reported that the Bitcoin mining difficulty hit a new all-time high, and that Bitcoin mining got a bit harder as the network's difficulty jumped another 4.68%, which essentially means that miners need to try harder and spend more electricity in order to get more Bitcoins. And 2 days ago, guys, Bitcoin.com posted that the next Bitcoin mining difficulty change is estimated to decrease, and the reason being the block times have been lengthened. So what happens is every 2016 block, the Bitcoin mining gets adjusted automatically. So this is what Satoshi Nakamoto did when he wrote the Bitcoin white paper. So it is definitely a very brilliant idea. Now guys, let's discuss some news regarding South Korea. And South Korea's Financial Services Commission, called as FSC, is providing guidance on security tokens, and digital assets that fit the description of security tokens will be regulated under the country's Capital Markets Act. And Cointelegraph has provided an article that states cryptocurrencies that fit the description of security tokens will be regulated under the country's capital market laws. Meanwhile, digital assets that do not fit the characteristics of securities will be governed by upcoming regulations. Now look guys, South Korea has definitely been an advocate of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and it is moves such as this that does actually motivate startups and businesses to start the business in these regions. And Dubai has VARA, which is Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority. They do a phenomenal job by providing clarity for startups and businesses. Now guys, let's talk about some news regarding Metaverse, because an ex-leading media called as BBC has reported that an INTERPOL is currently working on how to police the Metaverse. And Interpol Secretary General Jürgen Stock says the Global Policy Agency is investigating how the organizations could police crimes in the Metaverse. It's going to be really interesting how this thing develops, because let's say for instance, I am using the so-called Web3 login, that is using my private key, which is connected to my public key, which is connected to my public address. Then when I go into a distributed Metaverse, my identity is not known. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Interpol acts or reacts to some crimes in the Metaverse. Now listen guys, Web3 at this point of time, I don't see much use case in the Metaverse, but let's say in a decade's time, it could be possible that rather than using your email address and password, you're logging in, let's say with your Ethereum ID or your Solana ID, or let's say your EOS ID or different blockchain protocols, or maybe even Cardano. And that is a perfect use case of using Web 3.0 in the Metaverse. But what are your thoughts guys? Should there be police in the Metaverse? You definitely do read rules and regulations in order to protect users and make it a completely safe place for absolutely anyone. But the big question is, should this be governed by a police agency, or can that be replaced by courts? Just a thought out there. Now guys, let's discuss two news regarding UAE. And first news is about a report which states that Dubai is ranked second as the most crypto-ready city in the world. So let me just give out some bits of information regarding that news. And the study is done by Recap, and Recap study ranks London as the leading crypto hub in the world with a strong financial infrastructure and thriving startup ecosystem. Dubai is ranked second globally and first in the region as a cryptocurrency hub. Other cities in the top include New York, Singapore, Los Angeles, Zurich, Hong Kong, Paris, Vancouver, Bangkok, and quite a lot of other. Now the study by Recap examines 8 key points to determine a city's crypto readiness, that is including quality of life, crypto-specific events, crypto-related jobs, and quite a lot more. Now look guys, in Dubai and UAE, there are quite a lot of events taking place in the world of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, Web3, and Metaverse. And Dubai has also set up Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, called as VARA, to regulate the sector. And many cryptocurrency companies have made Dubai their home, with others planning to move here as well. And also guys, 2/3 of UAE adults are interested in cryptocurrencies, according to a recent YouGov survey. So Dubai is definitely making its headway, and Dubai has 772 crypto-related companies for residents to choose from a career in the sector. And the report also states that Dubai has a high quality of life and 0% tax, making it appealing for crypto investors. Riyadh and Jeddah from Saudi Arabia were ranked 22nd and 25th by the Recap's report, and the study measures factors such as number of crypto ATMs, capital gains tax rate, and ownership of crypto in each country. Look guys, Dubai is pushing to become the leading center for cryptocurrency and blockchain technology in the Middle East, and Dubai has a high quality of life score at 175.84, the 7th highest overall. Dubai is also an attractive choice for UK residents looking for a second home in the crypto world, and Dubai is a hub for crypto innovation and investment, making it a valuable player in the global cryptocurrency market. Crypto.com, Binance, Bybit, even FTX at one point of time did have its plan for making Dubai a home in the near future, but it's going to be really interesting to see, because at this point of time, the second news is kind of like a negative news. Unfortunately, there's not much to do with Dubai, but it is about Abu Dhabi. So the second news for today is about Kraken, which has decided to shut down its Abu Dhabi office, and it has also suspended its support for UAE's currency, that is dirham. So let me try to give out some information. And Kraken, guys, as we know, is the oldest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. And last year, on April 2025, the Abu Dhabi Global Market, or ADGM, did issue license to Kraken to operate a regulated virtual asset exchange platform in the financial free zone. Unfortunately, Kraken has closed its office in Abu Dhabi less than 12 months after receiving regulatory approval, and the exchange was licensed to offer services in Abu Dhabi International Financial Center and Abu Dhabi Global Market since April of 2022. The closure resulted in the laying off of roughly 8 people on the team focused on Middle East and North African region, or called as MENA region. Now, the closure was confirmed by a Kraken spokesperson, citing a review of companies' business lines. So it's really interesting to see what kind of an impact will this have on other cryptocurrency exchanges as well. Existing users in the region will still have access to the platform using other fiat currencies. Several employees will remain in the MENA region, and Kraken MENA Managing Director Benjamin Ampman is likely to leave following the transition. Now, the closure followed Kraken's announcement in November when they decided to cut its workforce by 30%, and the workforce reduction wasn't afoot. And looks like, guys, the crypto winter did have a massive impact on the oldest cryptocurrency exchange, because the workforce reduction was an effort to survive the crypto winter. And Kraken co-founder Jesse Powell described the layoffs as taking the company back to its size in 2021 when it rapidly expanded. Now, Jesse Powell has since resigned in September, and he did plan to step down as CEO. Now, he did step down because of his personal health reason. And so far as Kraken is concerned, it has also decided to suspend its support for UAE currency called as dirhams following the closure of its Abu Dhabi office. Now, the company's closure was due to a review of its business lines. The closure came as many crypto firms were affected by the market downturn, and the workforce reduction and closure of Abu Dhabi office were part of Kraken's efforts to survive the crypto winter. Despite the changes, guys, Kraken remains committed to serving its users and adapting to the evolving cryptocurrency world. Now look, guys, one thing which I've been noticing and I've been mentioning in my podcast lately is the term red ocean. Now, there is blue ocean and there is red ocean. Blue ocean is essentially business strategy focusing on creating new markets rather than competing in existing markets. But right now in Dubai and in UAE, looks like we're heading towards a red ocean. So red ocean essentially is an existing market with many competitors, while a blue ocean is a market yet to be discovered with no competitors. Now, if we talk about cryptocurrencies, blockchain Web 3.0, it's great that Dubai and UAE is becoming a home, but it also means severe competition for businesses. So businesses, in order to survive, you need to offer cheaper services. You need to offer faster quality because a customer can easily switch. You also need to focus on innovation, stay ahead of competition, and you also need to add value to your service. Because from a customer's point of view, if I'm not happy, let's say with Kraken, I can easily switch to Binance or Crypto.com or absolutely other. Now, from a user's point of view, if you look at it in terms of time, cost, and quality, it just means faster services, cheaper products, and better quality products. So what are your thoughts, guys? Is Dubai still a red ocean, or is it a blue ocean for cryptocurrencies, blockchain, Web 3.0 startups? Mention your thoughts in the comment section below. So that's all for today, guys, on the Crypto and Coffee update on Blockchain DXB. In case if you have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com, and also check out my website www.blockchaindxb.com, and also check out my other website, that is area2071.com. And if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now, for the next few minutes, it's going to be an Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's kick start with the Ask Me Anything series. Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. I have a question by Rachel who asks, Where does one start with Web 3.0? Now, Rachel, this is such a brilliant question. At the same time, I'm not sure if you're going to like the answer to what I'm saying. Rachel, at this point of time, Web 3.0 is just hype, and there are just very limited use cases of Web 3.0. Now, to answer your question, where does one start with Web 3.0? My answer is it starts with Bitcoin and it ends with Bitcoin. Now, there are very limited use case of the so-called terminology called Web 3.0. Now, listen to this, Rachel. If you understand this, trust me, you'd understand 90% of what Web 3.0 is. Ideally, rather than using your email address, if you were to use a private key which is connected to your public key, which is connected to your public address, that is what is Web 3.0. Now, there are other use cases such as zero knowledge proof, ZK Snarks, and signature sharing, quite a lot of other. Those are technical concepts, but if any protocol asks you to use email address instead of using, let's say, your Ethereum ID or Cardano ID or let's say blockchain, they are not using Web 3.0. Now, to answer your question, I would very strongly recommend to just focus on Bitcoin, because once you truly understand what Bitcoin is, you will truly understand what Bitcoin is not. Now, I do like the idea of having a blockchain protocol such as Ethereum, but unfortunately, keeping in mind the blockchain trilemma problem, there are limited use cases of the blockchain world. And one thing which I did discuss earlier is about Andreessen Horowitz. They are trying to use its whale power to go ahead and create a centralized decision so far as Uniswap version 3 is concerned. So this whole notion, about having Web 3.0 does sound like a great marketing tool for startups, businesses, for getting funding from venture capitalists and also from hedge funds. Unfortunately, Rachel, there are very limited use case of Web 3.0. And in my Metaverse Everything podcast, I did talk about the limited use case of Web 3.0 in the Metaverse. So essentially, it is only your login rather than using your email. If you are to use your private key, public key, and public address, so you could, let's say, log in using Ethereum or maybe Cardano or Algorand or EOS, that is one use case of using Web 3.0. The second is zero knowledge proof. So zero knowledge proof is essentially proving something without actually proving the details of it. So let's say, for instance, I have my phone locked, and in my phone locked, once you unlock it, in my wallpaper, let's say there is a horse. If you want to prove it with zero knowledge proof, what someone will have to do is just tell me what is there in the wallpaper. They will not have to actually tell what my passcode is. That is essentially at a very, very overview of what zero knowledge proof works. So let's say if you were to use your private key to log into the system, if the protocol does implement zero knowledge proof, that is essentially what Web 3.0 is. Now, all of these things may sound complicated, and that's one of the reasons, Rachel, not just for you, I tell absolutely anyone to just focus on Bitcoin. Once you truly understand what Bitcoin is, once you truly understand how Lightning Network is, how Liquid Network is, trust me, you would know 90% of what the so-called Web 3.0 is. Now, Rachel, I particularly don't like the term Web 3.0 because I do think that it is a lot of hype, and the same thing is echoed by Elon Musk. Even Jack Dorsey of Twitter did actually say the same thing, and that's one of the reasons why he did actually say to directly go for Web 5.0. So he says it's Web 2 plus the whole Web 3 is equals to Web 5.0. Now, if you do want to learn about Bitcoin, Jameson Lopp, he does have a brilliant website. So go to his website. It has, if not one of the best resources so far as Bitcoin is concerned. But other than that, you can listen to podcasts as well. But when you're listening to podcasts, I do listen to a lot of podcasts, Rachel, and I hate to say it, a lot of them do actually give out incorrect and misleading information. Even the posts that I'm seeing on LinkedIn, out of 10 posts, I would say 8 of them truly don't understand the true meaning of Web 3.0. They're just going into the hype and the bandwagon of Web 3.0. And I did read an article that the number of consultants claiming to be Web 3.0 has gone up by over 20,000-fold since the last 1 year. So forget about Web 3.0, Rachel. Try to understand what Bitcoin is. And I have said many times, there are very limited use case of blockchain technology, and it's so critical that you truly understand what blockchain is. That way you truly understand what blockchain is not. But other than that, if you do need any information, please reach out to me at info@blockchaindxb.com. And what I plan to do is, I will try to release a standalone episode called as the limited use case of Web 3.0. I'll try to do it for well over an hour. Now, it might create some controversy, but at least I'll be presenting facts as opposed to, just fancy words and try to gain some more attention of that sort. But other than that, a very limited use case of Web 3.0. So that's all for today, guys, on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 from Blockchain DXB. In case if you have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com, and also check out my website www.blockchaindxb.com, and also check out my other website, that is area2071.com, that talks everything about Metaverse. And if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursday, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how the series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other news and information is related to Dubai, UAE and Middle East, and the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions on the cryptocurrency world. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a nice one. Bye-bye.